And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Solano Community College on the campus with Billy and Louise Yarborough Stadium. We are here for the first game of the 2016 Solano Collegiate Invitational Tournament between the Solano Mudcats and the West Coast Kings. My name is Brian Nelson, here with the Solano College Sports Network, here to bring you today's game. I think the key to today's game for this opening matchup, we've broadcasted the Mudcats before during the summer season, and they struggled with their pitching. So I believe that should the starting pitcher, Connor Marshall, provide a good outing, the Mudcats should prevail in this opening game. For her thoughts on the first game, we'll send it over now to McKenna Guerrero.
Hey guys, McKenna Guerrero here reporting live from Billy and Louise Yarborough Stadium. Today marks the first day of the Solano Invitational, and it should be a great matchup to start the tournament off. We have the West Coast Kings and the Solano Mudcats. You'll be seeing some very familiar faces on the Mudcats today. Solano Falcons' very own Michael Driscoll and Nolan Burr. Can't wait to see what the tournament unfolds this weekend. Good luck to all 6 teams. Back to you guys in the booth.
And thank you, McKenna. And joining me in the broadcast booth to start out this game is Rally Factory Rockhound shortstop, Garland Webster. Garland, thank you for joining me here.
How's it going?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well.
All right, so you get a little front row seat here to get some of your competition later on in the tournament.
It should be a fun one.
So leading off for the Solano Mudcats will be Joey Morris, the center fielder. The rest of the starting lineup goes Maxwell Bradley at short, batting second. Nick Perez, the right fielder, batting third. Michael Driscoll, the left fielder, is batting cleanup. Ian Acosta, the catcher, is batting fifth. Jaden Lane, the first baseman, batting sixth. Elijah Onaveros, the DH, batting seventh. Jack Bowles, the second baseman, batting eighth. Nolan Burr, the third baseman, your former teammate Garland, rounds out the lineup, and they'll be facing the lefty, Brendan Gordon. First pitch from Gordon is taken for strike one. Now, you faced the Mudcats a couple of different times during the summer so far. So what can you tell us about the speedy Joey Morris?
I don't know. They're all little like scrappy baseball players. They hit ground balls, and you gotta field it properly, and you have to throw it to first base in order to get them out. And they're fast. It's just hard.
1-1 count from Gordon. Swung on and missed. Strike two.
Actually, the Mudcats have quite a few of our ex-Solano players, so.
Yeah,
it's fun playing against them.
By my count, 4 former Falcons and a current Falcon, Nolan Burr. As Morris with the 1-2 pitch lift into the outfield, hangs up for the right fielder McKean for out number 1. Next up will be the shortstop Maxwell Bradley. Now, how have you taken the approach of playing baseball this summer as you've completed your 2 years here at Solano, going on to Eastern New Mexico, I believe?
Yes.
How have you approached this summer?
You know, just trying to get my at-bats and get some work in before I head off to my next school. That was really the main focus about this summer baseball. I knew that it was going to be good competition, so.
As Bradley, it's the first pitch to the shortstop. Little curl hop and throws out Bradley for out number 2. I noticed so far during the games during the summer, the dirt's a little drier here at Billy and Louise Yarborough Stadium. Caused some tricky bounces. Have you had to deal with any of those tricky bounces?
I would say just because it's summer, we're not taking as good of care of it as we do during the spring. But I don't know. It's all mental, I think, about these bad hops. If you charge the ball and you field it out in front of you, you won't get eaten up too much.
So we get a first lefty-lefty matchup of the game as Gordon with the first pitch to Nick Perez for strike one. One of the former Falcons. I believe 3 years ago Perez was on Solano squad. Oh, 1 pitch. Has to duck out of the way of that one. Evens the count 1-1.
Now, how about you guys? Have you guys got prepared for the summer?
I think it's just a lot of repetition. The next pitch is outside for 2-1. We have some new people coming in during the summer, so they have a little crash course because they didn't have as much time as, let's say, the fall and the spring to kind of learn the jobs that we have.
Yeah.
But for those of us that are returning, as Perez lifts it to center field, that one's going to hang up for Sawyer Olson for out number 3. So 1-2-3 inning for Brendan Gordon for the West Coast Kings. We'll head to the bottom of the first with the game tied 0-0. So back on here with the bottom of the first with Connor Marshall, the Mudcats starting pitcher, getting in his warm-up tosses. Let's introduce the starting batting lineup for the West Coast Kings. Leading off will be shortstop Graham Pym, center fielder Sawyer Olson, the two-hole hitter. Batting third is Jason Hare, the catcher. Cleanup hitter is Kyle McKean, the right fielder. Jacob Chemens, the third baseman, batting fifth. The sixth place hitter is Dante Peretti, the first baseman. John Najedli is the second baseman. Ray Soderman is the DH, and rounding out the lineup will be A.J. Curtis in left field. And on the mound is a pitcher out of Beloit College in Wisconsin, Connor Marshall. I believe he has maybe a relative because there's another Marshall on the team going to Beloit College, so I'll put two and two together and say they're either brothers or cousins or something.
Let's see how his funky delivery does about this team.
Yeah, I was noticing warm up in the bullpen. He's very violent kind of delivery. If you pay too much attention to that, that can definitely throw off a hitter.
Yeah.
Here the catcher in the hole.
So Graham Pym, the shortstop, will lead off. Pym only 5'6", little Jose Altuve to lead off the game. So we get our first chance to look at Marshall this summer. First pitch is low for a ball. And catching him will be Ian Acosta. You played with Ian for 1 year as he left. What can you say about Ian that the folks don't know about him?
Just his defense. It was stellar, really. Between his feet and his arms, I mean, you couldn't ask for much more.
Yeah, and I think that's something that translated from his freshman year to his sophomore. But I was really impressed with the jump he made at the plate as well.
Yeah.
I kind of pinholed him as like the defensive catcher out of his freshman year, and then his second year.
Yeah, sophomore year he blew up at the plate, so that was really helpful for us as a team, as well as him, to get him out to another school.
As Connor Marshall falls behind in the count 2-1 to Graham Pym. Next pitch in there for strike two.
Strikes are a big part of this game. You get a pitcher up there throwing too many balls, your defense falls asleep a little bit. It's hard to stay in a rhythm.
As a 2-2 pitch is hammered to shortstop. Bradley corrals it, throws high and pulls the first baseman Jane Lane off the bag. So Graham Pym will reach base safely to lead off this bottom of the first. And you as a shortstop, what can you tell the folks about what happened on that play? How come Bradley kind of threw high on that? Was it mechanical? Did he rush the throw?
No, I would say that I feel like he slipped on when he first got the ball, and then after that it was just rushed.
And so batting now is the center fielder Sawyer Olson. Put out the last out of that top of the first. Takes a first pitch ball on the outside corner. Has a hole on the right side with the first baseman Lane holding on Pym.
And then middle up for two, so.
Marshall checks on the runner at first, comes set. And that one's chopped to the third baseman over his head. Cannot get there, Nolan Burr. So the first two batters reach as Sawyer Olson chops a single into shallow left field. So the West Coast Kings with an early rally here in the bottom of the first as Jason Hare, the catcher, comes to bat. And now you, in your career, have come up with a lot of opportunities to drive in runs. What do you do mentally to kind of calm yourself down and not press yourself at the box too much?
I would just say try and hit the ball hard, not so much pick a place to hit it. Just try and hit it solid. And
sack bunt to Marshall, and he gets the out at first base.
And just hopefully it works. I mean, you get it too complicated and it makes everything harder.
And that's something that could be familiar to Solano fans as well. With no outs, 2 runners on, you sacrifice yourself. Even though you're the 3-hole hitter, it's kind of rare to see in baseball nowadays, but it kind of shows the selflessness of that approach.
Yeah. No matter who's up, if there's runners on first and second, no outs, you'll be bunting.
So that brings up Kyle McKean, the right fielder. Marshall, 2 runners in scoring position, 1 out.
But see, now the batter has to be a little careful with the base open. It's not going to get much to hit.
And so Marshall does have a base to play with. If he gets McKean on with a walk, he could set up a double play, potentially get out of the inning. But you obviously don't want to walk the bases loaded. Next pitch is on the outside corner. Count even at 1-1. Now, as an infielder, do you like the pace that Marshall is pitching at as well?
Oh, definitely. If we have a couple pitchers that work at a slower pace, which makes the game drag on a little bit longer. So it's definitely a lot easier to play defense with somebody who has a rhythm and has a nice pace for their comfortability.
And his pace has gotten ahead, 1-2 to Kyle McKean, so he has a couple pitches to play with, trying to get McKean chasing here. Strikeout situation to the right fielder. 1-2 pitch. Ooh. Swung on and missed at the high fastball for out number 2, and that's what he's pitching for, the strikeout high.
Yep.
So that brings up Jacob Chemens, third baseman, trying to pick up his teammate and drive in the 2 runs that are standing at second and third.
Should be a big out. 2 early runners on, get out of it, none scored.
So Graham Pym, the shortstop, standing at third. Sawyer Olson standing at second. Marshall set. First pitch is looked at for ball 1. Marshall with the 0-1 pitch. Excuse me.
Good spot.
On the outside corner, evens the count 1-1.
He's keeping the ball down. Makes it a lot easier for him to get those strike calls.
And it's interesting, too, with this kind of funky delivery. Sometimes you see the delivery hinder the control of a pitcher, and so far Marshall's been in the strike zone as Acosta with a nice block. And there we talked about his defense. With 2 outs and a runner at third, you need to trust your catcher to block that ball. 2-1 is the count. Chemens trying to drive on the first runs of this ball game. 2-1 pitch is chopped foul, 2-2. And the special thing about the Solano Invitational, only 7 inning games as well. 2 hour
15-minute time limit, yeah.
In order to get all of the games in one day. Of course, this is the first game of the tournament, only game of this Wednesday afternoon. And do you play tomorrow or do you play Friday?
2 games tomorrow.
2 games tomorrow?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. 2 games Friday.
As a huge pitch here from Marshall, 2-2. Gets him swinging. Oh, he actually fouled that one off, just stayed alive. So a good battle here from Chemens to stay alive on that 2-2 breaking ball. How do you prepare for playing 2 games in 1 game? Do you make sure... Do you play back-to-back as well?
Yes. You stay hydrated, especially with this heat.
2-2. Looked at on the outside. Full count now.
It's a big pitch.
Do you expect the runners to go 3-2? Even there's an open base, so not sure if they're going to go. Runner at second does go, and the chopper is to Nolan Burr at third. A little tricky short hop.
Got him. He stayed with it.
He threw him out. So great job by Nolan Burr at third base. Typically, we've seen him at second base. See him on the hot corner with a tricky short hop. Stayed with it and threw out Jacob Chemens for the third and final out.
That third out, yeah.
So we head to the top of the second. Score tied 0-0.
If you have an interest in a career in sports broadcasting,
whether it's behind the scenes or on camera,
then this is the class for you.
Class is held every Wednesday from 1:30 to 4:30 in room 121 alongside the library building.
For more information, contact Greg Poff. That's me at solano.edu.
We hope to see you here next semester. And remember,
it's more than just sports. It's an education.
Here in the top of the second, 4, 5, 6 for the Solano Mudcats. Michael Driscoll, Ian Acosta, and Jaden Lane. Now, last time we saw Michael Driscoll on a SCSN broadcast, Evan Facenda was on the soundtrack in the booth, was getting on Michael pretty hard. What did you guys think of that in the dugout?
The rumor has it that when we were going to go there, they had a whole bunch of songs for Evan, so Evan got lucky about that.
As Driscoll hit a first pitch single in for a leadoff single.
For him being a switch hitter, he does not hit bad
Driscoll is
right-handed.
followed by the catcher, number 10, Ian Acosta.
And I remember that even though they're kind of, it was like nursery rhymes. I think maybe Hannah Montana theme song was one of them. But he was 3 for 5 in that game. So, hey, maybe.
You know, we gave him a hard time over the spring, so he should be used to all the all the jokes.
That brings Ian Acosta, the catcher, up with Driscoll at first after leadoff single on the first pitch. First hit of the game for the Mudcats after Gordon went 1-2-3. First pitch in there on the outside corner, strike one. Now Driscoll standing at first. How'd you evaluate his speed as a base runner?
You know, he's actually not, for how big he is, he's not really slow. It surprised me over the spring out of how fast that he actually was.
As Acosta flies one,
Tough play for the first baseman.
Peretti, is going to call it off by Najedli. Good play to communicate with the first baseman. That's a tough to go back as a first baseman. The second baseman has much better angle.
You got to have trust in him because that's really his ball.
So that's the first out here in the top of the second. Jaden Lane, the first baseman, now batting. Lane out of Cal State Stanislaus. Gordon with the pitch, taken outside for ball one.
Looks like this pitcher has quite a bit of movement running off his fastball, going away from right-handed batters.
Double play possibility to try and get out of the inning as he throws over to keep Driscoll close at first. So Gordon comes set, looks at the runner at first, then comes home. Ball in the dirt, nice block there by the catcher Hare. Lane now ahead, good hitters count 2-0. What are you looking for if you're Lane?
I'd be looking for a fastball in, but not swinging at anything else. You have more pitches to work with 2-0, so.
See if he gets something good to hit here. Gordon 2-0 pitch. Driscoll's on the move. We'll see if Driscoll can steal this. Nice throw, and the slide.
Just got in.
Evaded the tag. I think the ball actually beat him, but I think Driscoll picked a spot on the bag to slide to, and that allowed him to get by the tag and a Jedley to steal that base. So there you see sneaky speed from Michael Driscoll stealing that one on it looked like a hit and run that Lane just missed the ball on.
Good count to do it.
2-1, 1 out. Lane looks at that pitch on the outside, 2-2. So now Driscoll in scoring position for Lane. Gordon checking on him, but comes home. Good take. Full count.
These are always tricky at bats. Just because 1 out, you have a base to work with, especially if you get behind, because they don't really have to throw you strikes, so you have to really know what you're looking for.
So full count, 1 out, Driscoll, as Gordon spins off the mound. So comes set all over again. I think Gordon's pace has been kind of the opposite of Marshall, very deliberate. As 3-2 is hit by Lane. That one's going to just go foul. Do you think that – I'm not sure how the first inning was to the second, but maybe the runner being on with Driscoll, he's trying to disrupt the timing of the runner. Maybe that's gone his head a little bit.
I don't know. I just how we were talking about that pace earlier with someone who has a good one. It keeps the defense alive and ready. His pace might hurt his defense.
Driscoll pitch in the dirt. Driscoll's going to steal third. So little wheels from Michael Driscoll. Steals second, steals third. And there with the 3-2 count, he went. So the runners will be at the corners after Lane walks. For the DH, Elijah Onaveros, who is a catcher out of UC Davis. But we talked about Ian Acosta being so sure behind the plate. Really, the only opportunity Onaveros to get in the lineup consistently would be as a DH.
Yeah.
Gordon with first pitch, and that one's hammered to third baseman. Checks, throws to second for one. They throw home, and
back.
Driscoll's caught in a pickle, but the catcher did not catch that cleanly here, and the runner at first is going to take second on some indecision, and the second baseman, Najedli, can't believe it, or I believe that's Pim that can't. No, it's Najedli.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a lot of confusion on that play. But at the end of the day, there's 2 outs,
And a runner
two runners in scoring position. Those are the broadcaster plays that I just love, where everything goes chaotic and I have to try and explain everything.
It's fun for that scorebook, too.
Yeah. So Onaveros reaches on a fielder's choice.
What was that? 5 to 4 to 2.
Yeah, I'll let you
Back
handle
to
the
4.
scoring on that one. Bowles with the 2-out hit. 1 run will score. They're going to hold up the runner at second,
Smart decision.
Onaveros, as they realize the catcher's on the base paths, maybe not the fastest of runners. But the first run comes in as, Driscoll comes in to score.
After stealing 2 bags, so it really helped him.
For the Mudcats, the third baseman, number 11, Nolan Burrow.
And they were really fortunate to get out of, for the Mudcats' perspective, to get a run there. They looked like they were going to be out of the inning with the base running mistakes. Kings couldn't capitalize and field it cleanly. We'll see if Nolan Burr can single home Onaveros as Burr looks at a first pitch for a ball.
These lefty-lefty matchups are always a difficult thing.
Did you ever try and go switch hitter like Driscoll, or did you always feel comfortable on the right side?
Because I'm naturally left-handed, so I did try in high school.
Burr pops it to the shortstop. Pim for the third and final out. Not before the Mudcats score the first run of the ball game. We'll head to the bottom of the second. Mudcats lead 1-0.
Lights on your phone. Look at
6, 7, 8. Peretti, Najedli, Soderman. And if anybody gets on, AJ Curtis be batting fourth here in the bottom of the second, trying to get back a run. As Connor Marshall looking for a shutdown inning after his squad got him first run of the ball game.
That's real important, too. After you get a run, to have a 1-2-3 inning, get your boys back in and hit.
So first pitch to Peretti is low for ball 1. Yeah, due up for the Mudcats would be the top of the lineup again, so a good opportunity here to get more runs after that bottom of the first got you one.
Yeah.
Or top of the second got you one. 1-0 pitch from Marshall. Take it for ball 2. And now what you can't do is start throwing balls like that.
I was going to say, I think the most important thing was to come out and just those strikes, no matter if they hit it or not.
So commanding hitters count here for the first baseman, Peretti. That was taken on the outside for strike 1. So obviously, like you said, when you were in a 2-0 count, you're looking for fastball in that one on the outside corner. So probably a good take there from Peretti. 2-1 pitch. Swung on and missed 2-2.
It's one thing that you learned at Solano is just have an approach. It really helped me grow as a hitter, I think, to just know what I'm doing in each count and
Is that the biggest difference coming from Armio to Solano? Was your growth as an approach hitter?
I would say one of, yes.
As Peretti strikes out looking, what other kind of aspects do you really attribute your growth as a player from coached over in the Solano
I just think
program?
the maturity that he expects from you. I think that also is a big thing that helps, but the whole approach is probably in the top 2 of something important that he's taught.
As John Najedli, second baseman, fouls the first pitch off 0-1. So after Marshall fell behind Peretti, 0-2 struck him out, looking.
Big
now
out.
Looking to get Najedli. As he lifts that into the outfield, we'll see if anybody will get in there. Sliding attempt by Perez cannot make the play, so that'll drop in for a one-out single.
Those are some of the worst hits, too, if you're a pitcher. You make a good pitch, they fight it off, they find somewhere out in the green.
Yeah, last game we had, it was the Mudcats game. We had Jay Wagner in there. We kind of mentioned to him one of the games, I think it was against the Puff Caps, where he was pitching really well. He was missing a lot of barrels, but they still kept finding their way on to the base. And just the nonverbals. We didn't have a camera in here, but if you could see the face he was making, just like, yep, it's just frustrating. So we'll see if Marshall can pitch out of that frustration, and Soderman is jammed. Bradley goes back and puts it away for out number 2. So there you go, 1 pitch, 1 out.
Yeah.
Now you got 2 outs. A lot better situation than 1 out with a man on first in Najedli.
Yes, and that's what strikes do for you. Get them swinging the bats, get them to get themselves out.
So he'll try to get out of this inning here with A.J. Curtis, the left fielder, the 9th-place hitter. Snap throw attempt, or you thought about the snap throw. That's something that a lot of Solano catchers have featured, both Acosta and, oh my God, I'm blanking on on Andres. Yeah, I don't know why I called him Alvaro. Next pitch, a ball, evens the count 1-1.
What?
They're gonna
They
call
actually
a
called
balk.
a balk, yeah.
So go back to a 1 count.
Yep.
So that last pitch didn't count. Has apparently something in his motion might have. Maybe he didn't come to a complete set position. That's the only thing I can maybe think of.
Yeah,
That's why you call for a balk. Interesting call. They'll put some man in scoring position, but he
comes back with a strike.
Yeah, now he's ahead 0-2.
Let's see, 1-2. 0-2?
Yeah, I think it's 0-2 because that ball was on the balk, so I think that canceled the pitch out. So command and count 0-2. That one's lifted into the outfield. They're going to send the runner at second home. The throw from Perez is going to be cut off, not in time. That scores Najedli, so the game's tied up 1-1.
So that balk becomes a real big play.
Yeah, without that balk, Najedli's not standing in scoring position. He'd be probably held up at second base as well as Curtis hit that ball. It was pretty sharply hit.
At the most third, so you'd still have an opportunity to get out of the inning with no runs scored.
So a lucky break there for the Kings after not catching a break in the top of the second. That brings up the leadoff hitter, Graham Pym, who reached in his first at-bat as first pitch is taken for a strike. Kind of held off on whether I would score his hit an error or a hit. So I'll just say he reached base safely. It's kind of safer.
Yeah.
0-1 pitch. That one swung onto the outfield. That one's going to land. Perez, he's going to have to do a good job of cutting this one off. Otherwise, they'll send the runner. They will not. So Perez gets the ball and throws it into the infield. Runners will be at the corners with 2 out.
Next batter, center fielder, Olson.
Sawyer Olson, the center fielder. The RBI opportunity, singled in the first inning.
See if he can do it again. Big run.
So kind of a rally with 2 outs here after the balk. Runners at the corners.
Kind of just switched the whole momentum a little bit.
Yeah, I think just the disbelief of Marshall might have thrown off his concentration a little bit. It's kind of hard to blame him after you throw a pitch and then you just kind of look and the guy's just walking to second base.
Yeah.
Next pitch on the outside corner for strike.
But Marshall's doing a good job of staying on the outside corner, though, not really giving them much to hit.
So 1-1, 2 out, runners at the corners. Runner goes, swung on and fouled off. 1-2.
Right as I say that, it goes right inside.
So third baseman Nolan Burr playing in on the cut of the grass.
It's really a difficult switch from second base to third.
Yeah, complete different angle for the batter.
Complete different angle. You get way different balls, like you could say. Everything's more fast.
Yeah, the reaction time is a lot quicker at the hot corner.
And then
That's
the
why they call
throw
it there.
also.
Yeah, definitely. And let's talk a little bit about your transition. You played third baseman as a freshman, moved over to shortstop. How was that as a transition for you?
I wouldn't say it's as hard as you'd think, just because I'm on the left side as he.
Hits one right at Driscoll for out number 3. I gotta stop asking you questions with 2 outs, man. You don't get enough time. My bad on that. We'll try and fix that for the rest of the game as we'll head to the top of the third. Game knotted up at 1 apiece. So top of the lineup here in the top of the third. And let's fix the mistakes I've been making, ask you questions about yourself. No outs here, so perfect time to ask you. Eastern New Mexico, what made you pick that university over any others you were looking at?
You know, it was just once I went out there and saw the school, and there's not much out there, but I realized that I really don't have much time to do anything else besides go to school and go to baseball, and the facilities are really nice, so it was just a good fit all around. The coaches, they just seemed like I would get along with and I'd play well there, so that's what made me ultimately make my decision.
Were they looking at you at short or third or kind of a
Yeah,
combination?
they actually recruited me to play shortstop.
As Pim lifts one to center field, Olson is underneath it for out number 1.
It's funny because I came to Solano, played third base, got switched to shortstop last season, and now I'm going to my next school to play shortstop. It just came full circle, I guess, because that's what I used to play back when I was younger. So,
kind of a fate situation, if you want to call it fate. As Bradley squares around a bunt. Can't believe they didn't say that he went around, but they're going to call that a ball. That's actually Joey Morris who flew out for their first out. Here, Bradley, the 1-0 pitch on the outside, evens the count 1-1. One is fouled off, 1-2. And do you expect to kind of play right away? Do you know yet?
Yeah, that's what I went in. When we went and did the whole recruiting process, they said that, yeah, they brought me in to go out and play, but it's not a given thing. You have to earn it always. Right. But, yeah, the plan is for me to go in and start.
As Bradley was jammed on that 1-2 pitch and thrown out by the shortstop Graham Pym for out number 2. Are you a fan of green chilies? Because I hear that New Mexico is famous for the green chili.
I wouldn't say that I'm a fan of green chili.
No?
No.
We have to get accustomed to it maybe once you're out there. The only other thing I know about New Mexico is the Breaking Bad houses out there.
Yes.
Not sure if that's
anywhere near me. No.
Yeah.
But
that's western New Mexico.
Yeah.
As Nick Perez with 2 outs here, trying to get on base. Looks at a first pitch for a ball. Brendan Gordon, the lefty, trying to duplicate his top of the first with a 1-2-3 inning. Next pitch taken for a ball. We've seen lefty-lefty matchups go in favor of the pitcher most of the time. So the next one is in there for strike 1. Yeah, Burr flew out and Perez flew out to the outfield and shortstop respectively.
See if batters can get one.
Check swing.
Goes 2-2.
Yeah, Perez not looking too comfortable there with his at-bat so far. But, you know, watching Perez, he has some pop in his bat and can definitely leave the yard.
Yeah, he just doesn't swing a lot. He hasn't seemed real sure about his
swing as he pops one to the second baseman, shades his eyes. Going to put that one away for out number 3, does Najedli. So, again, 3 up, 3 down here at the top of the third. We'll head to the bottom of the third. Game tied at 1. In the bottom of the third, 3-4-5, heart of the order for the West Coast Kings, Hare, McKean, and Chemens. And so Connor Marshall back for his 3rd inning of work. Only giving up 1 run so far.
With these 7-inning games, a lot of the teams will save their pitching. If your starter could go 5 innings, 6 innings, you only have to worry about maybe another pitcher being used for an inning, and then you're good. He can come back the next day.
First pitch swung on, fly to right field. Perez is under it, puts it out for out number 1. So Hare first pitch swinging after he sacrificed over the 2 runners on in his first at-bat, so officially 0 for 1. That brings up Kyle McKean, who struck out with runners at first and second for crucial out number 2.
Yeah, big out for the Mudcats that inning.
And a big hole in the pants of McKean. He's going to need new equipment for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know a little bit about that. You just get comfortable with them. No matter the holes, you're just comfortable. You can't switch it up.
And if you have a huge game at the plate, you're going to want holes in that and whatever part of your uniform all the time. Next one is in there for a strike. Are you one of those baseball players who are kind of superstitious like that? Do you have anything?
I really try hard not to be, but I don't know. Some things are kind of hard not to be superstitious about, but no, I try not to be superstitious.
So you're not as bad as Nomar Garciaparra with the batting gloves all the time?
No, every pitch he takes, no. I know a couple people that have to drink the same drink every day before the game. It's bad for you. Creates bad habits.
Marshall's ahead in the count 1 and 2 here. Swung on to the center fielder.
See if he can track
Morris.
that down all the way.
No, it gets over the head of Morris. So Morris will throw it in to the cutoff man, and Kyle McKean with a 1-out double.
I bet he wishes he could have done that his first at bat.
Yeah, that would have been huge for the West Coast Kings to drive in those runs. I think he made up for it on that swing as he get it over the head of Joey Morris. Jacob Chemens, the third baseman, grounded out to end that inning and kind of has the hole in the same place as McKean, actually.
All this hard dirt we were talking about. Oh.
And that one hit him square in the back. And that one cannot feel good. That made a nice thud right on the spinal cord of Jacob Chemens. What's the worst you've ever been hit by a pitch that you were just...
You know, it was here about 3 games ago. The kid was probably throwing, I would say 90 or so, and it caught me right on the backside of my ribs. And it took me all the way down to first base to be able to take a deep breath again. So that was probably on my top 3 of being hit.
Yeah, don't envy you guys out there who have to wear a pitch sometimes as first pitch is in the dirt. That's why I love it when people say, oh, you got to wear it to get the base, and you're just like, you're not. That's easy to say when you're not the one being hit by a baseball.
That 7-ounce baseball moving that fast does a little bit of damage when it hits you.
So Dante Peretti here with 1 out, 2 runners on for Marshall. As next pitch is in there for a strike, evens the count 1-1.
These Kings batters aren't agreeing with the low and away fastball that Marshall continuously throws.
So Marshall kind of being a little bit more deliberate here with 2 runners on. 1-1 pitch, 1 out. Pitch jams him, 1-2. So Marshall trying to get out of this inning after a 1-out double, put Kyle McKean at second base, and Chemens, the first pitch that hit him, are your 2 runners. Next pitch is fouled off again.
Good fight.
1-2.
See if Marshall can get a ground ball, get 2 outs. That'd be big. Get him out of this inning.
Yeah, not a ton of ground ball outs. Only 1, and it was to Chemens who's standing at first. A lot of fly outs. So maybe want to pitch something low to try and get something topped over by Peretti here. 1-2. That one, nice approach, just kind of flicks it into right field. Perez just fields the ball as the runner rounds third, so that'll put runners at the corners, and Kyle McKean will score. Scores now 2-1 West Coast Kings. That was like a no lower half kind of, just kind of flick the bat out
2
there.
strikes.
So John Nedgedly, second baseman. With the score 2-1. West Coast Kings lead. That one's hit.
Nubbed.
And that one
Foul.
just went foul. And the first base coach for Kings pointed it fair. That was a definite close one. As it doesn't, I know in the pros it just has to go over the bag.
All it has to do is go over. If anything after, if it goes over the base, then you are a fair ball. But anything, if it's to the right of the base, no matter where it lands.
And that one just missed hopping over the bag. And had that been fair, everybody would have been running for a while. So lucky break there for the Mudcats as Marshall.
Back to that foul ball. Good for the first baseman to realize that it was going foul, not touch it fair.
Yeah, it's always a tricky play. That sometimes your baseball instincts and your athleticism, you want to make every single play that's hit at you, but sometimes it's the play you don't make that really helps your team out. As a throw over to keep Peretti close. Marshall checks on the runners. Comes set. 1-1 pitch. That one's low.
Gets away.
And you don't want to run on Acosta. Peretti doesn't look super fleet of foot over at first, and based off his secondary lead, maybe a fast runner would have went, as it trickled by Acosta a pretty decent amount, but with Peretti, better be safe.
Yeah.
Here. As last 2 half innings, they've touched Marshall up a little bit, as the next pitch is on the outside, 2-2. Six hits so far in 2 1/3 innings pitched for Marshall. So they're seeing him well. 2-2 pitch.
Good
Swung on
pitch.
and missed by Nedgedly for strike 3. That's the second time he's had 2 runners on and had a pitch for the strikeout, and he got it. It's a good battle from the pitcher out of Beloit College. You know where Beloit College is?
I do not.
It's in Wisconsin. The only reason I know that is because we're doing an MMA tournament on Friday, and one of the title fighters, one of his fights was in Beloit, Wisconsin.
Where are you guys doing that at?
It's at the Solano Fair
Okay.
on Friday. Doors open at 6, starts at 7. So for all you watching, best of the best fight tournament, and there's going to be, I believe, 15 fights. There are going to be 3 2-minute rounds, and there's 2 title fights that are going to be 3 3-minute rounds.
Okay.
And the guy out of Beloit College actually moved out here to join Team Alpha Male, famous
With
for Uriah Faber.
Yes.
So come check that out too. We'll be broadcasting that on Friday in between the tournament. So we won't be here to broadcast Friday, but we'll be here today, obviously, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, Coach Stover was saying that you guys had like seven of the games or something like that covered.
Yeah, I believe I have the list here just to preview for you guys. Here we have the Kings and the Mudcats. Tomorrow we'll be broadcasting the Mudcats and the Wildcats of Auburn. Saturday we'll have your game, the Rockhounds against the Sacramento M's. And then we'll have the 2 semifinals as that pitch is lined for a single into left field. That will drive home Chamens as Ray Soderman, the DH, gets another run across the board, 3-1. And then we'll have both semifinals and the finals on Sunday. So 6 total games for us.
Which is a lot of work for you guys. I mean, coming out here, setting up everything,
Yeah.
putting it away.
The summer, when we were told that we're going to do summer class, I was like, cool, more baseball, more things to broadcast, but it's always the setup that's always the most brutal because you come out 2 hours before,
Yes.
you're working in the sun. It's just not pleasant. But once you get everything set up, you kind of relax a little bit. You get to enjoy some nice baseball. And you guys have been doing an excellent job on the Rockhounds. I know all the last broadcast, the offense has gone off all the games that we've covered. So
Yeah, so
definitely a lot of fun and worth it.
Yeah, it makes it worth it at least.
As A.J. Curtis fouls off the first pitch, 0-1. 2 outs here in the inning with 2 runners on. That one is hit into center field. Morris, he broke to the side, and he makes a nice diving play as he took an interesting route. But he makes up for it with some athleticism with the diving play to get the 3rd and final out, but not before 2 runs come across, and the West Coast Kings lead 3-1. We'll head to the top of the 4th. Top of the 4th, this part of the lineup produced the 1 run that the Solano Mudcats have as Driscoll, Acosta, and Lane are due up here in the half inning. Driscoll singled off a first pitch off of Gordon.
I think Driscoll's had to hit a little bit more right-handed than he has wanted to this summer with all the lefty pitching.
A 1 pitch for a ball. And there you see Gordon's pace kind of picking up again with the bases empty, as he just comes set and is ready to fire yet again. 1-1 as Driscoll took a hard hack and fouled. Driscoll hit over 300 his freshman year. Something kind of surprised me. He's so big that you kind of expect him to be kind of a power hitter, but he's just a solid contact hitter from both sides.
Makes a lot of contact. I don't remember him striking out too much, which is what we needed.
That one's fouled off to the right side. I think he's going to have to be a key piece for the returning Solano Falcons. We have a couple Falcons due to return in both Driscoll and Nolan Burr in the lineup, as well as a new pitcher, Tyler Pearsall, who is listed as going to Solano next year, as that one's hit to the right side. Second baseman Nedgedly throws out Driscoll for out number 1.
Tyler was actually with us this year. He just had redshirted.
Oh, okay.
So he knows the program, and I think he'll be a good filler for next year's team as well.
I think the pitching is where a lot of the returners are going to be at with Carson Hawes.
Carson Hawes, James Heinrich. We have Chris Bruner's coming back.
Is the lefty spinning? Is he coming back, or is he a
I do
sophomore?
not believe so.
Acosta takes the first pitch on the outside. Yeah, I think Hawes really solidified himself as a spot in the rotation and just find a couple other starters to kind of bridge that gap and be pitching heavy next year as the next pitch evens the count 1-1. And your teammate Jack Priddy has had a really impressive summer. We saw him last game against the Mudcats at an opposite field 3-run home run.
Yes.
So Jack just shows his strength as a hitter. As
I think he's really enjoyed swinging these wood bats. Which is also adjustment that people really don't see or understand. You go from swinging metal all spring to summer ball swinging wood. It is an adjustment. It is different.
Yeah, that's another rule about, especially this tournament as well. They emphasize all wood bats.
Yeah.
We see it all the time for people trying to break it into the pros, as Acosta with a chopper to the third baseman. Chemens stays down nicely on it and throws out Acosta. Some players, when aluminum was the main bat with the College World Series and stuff like that, they would have to play kind of in between ball to get used to the wood bats, and their power numbers would just dip. And all of a sudden, baseball teams who saw like 20, 30 home run season guys bat like 12.
Yeah.
Really, that switch over from aluminum to wood really shows your true power, as Lane swings meekly at that first pitch for a strike. Next pitch taken for a ball. Evens the count 1-1.
These 5 o'clock games are probably the ones that you want. It gets cooler at least.
As Lane with the chopper to Chemens. Get a little replay as that is the third and final out, as 1, 2, 3 for back-to-back innings for Brendan Gordon. He's pitching one heck of a game so far. We'll head to the bottom of the fourth. Kings lead 3-1. Top of the lineup for the West Coast Kings, who have scored in the last 2 half innings, 1 in the bottom of the second, 2 in the bottom of the third. They look to continue this streak against Connor Marshall. And so Pim will make his way to the box. As Marshall trying to settle down here in the fourth. Graham Pim singled his last at bat. And swings at the first pitch here, and that one's going to fall into the gap in front of Nick Perez. Pim takes a hard turnaround first, but we'll get there for a leadoff single.
They've been seeing Marshall pretty well these last couple innings.
Yeah, I believe that's his 7th hit given up. He's also hit a batter.
For 7 hits, he's still 3-1 is not bad, so he's still giving his offense a little bit of opportunity to come back for him.
So here the second place hitter, Sawyer Olson, is up 1 for 2, singled and flew out his 2 at-bats as he looks at a first pitch ball. There you see Pim's lead at first. Marshall comes set and comes home. Pitch take on the outside, 2-2, 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0 is a little bit better than 2-2.
Yeah. I'm sure Olson would rather have a 2-0 than a 2-2. As Marshall comes set here, hitter's count for Olson.
Ooh.
Swung and fouled that one back.
I think he got the pitch he was looking for.
Yeah, you can see a little grimace as he walks out of the box. His kind of facial expression just says, "I just missed that one." And that kind of, you can kind of tell he just missed it by him fouling it straight back, and that he was just underneath the ball. He wasn't late or early on the on the swing. So Marshall still behind 2-1 to Sawyer Olson. Runner goes. Acosta bobbles the exchange, so Pim steals second base clean. So runner in scoring position now, no outs, and a 3-1 hitters count for Sawyer Olson. So just a whole lot of bad on that one play for the Mudcats.
You can make it a whole lot worse right now.
Olson trying to make the Mudcats pay as he swings and misses. Foul. Excuse me, just foul tip that one. And after that swing, third base coach kind of giving him some words, maybe. It's a 3-1 count, so I think he was definitely trying to.
Has a little bit of free reign with how hard he can swing.
Try and find that little gap in the scoreboard to try and put 2 runs up.
There you go.
So full count here. Nobody out. Graham Pim standing at second. Marshall with the pitch. Breaking ball taken for strike 3, and Olson knew it.
Now batting, the catcher, number 3, Jason.
That 3-2 count, I don't think he was expecting a curveball.
Yeah, definitely locked him up. And as soon as he saw where that landed in the strike zone, he just easily took a walk. As Jason Hare, the catcher, 0 for 1, sack bunt, and a flyout, his 2 at-bats.
Runner
Pim
goes.
got a great jump. Acosta with a better exchange, and he got him.
There we go, back to the defense of Acosta with his feet. To work around a right-handed batter to throw to third is also a defeat with something that's impressive.
Yeah, and Pim got a nice jump, too, off of Marshall.
Yeah, he kind of had a walking lead into it, but
I think Acosta just he just executed everything perfectly. And I think, too, it's a shorter throw from the catcher to third than catcher to second. So 2 outs here as Acosta's defense wipes out the runner. Hare looks at that pitch, 1-1.
Which would have also been a big run for these Kings. Going up 3 runs instead of 2 is a big difference in baseball.
1-1. Swung on and missed by Hare. 1-2. Hare, kind of a wiry build. Kind of reminds me of Adam Rosales.
Yeah.
Kind of long neck and. One and 2. Marshall ahead in the count here. Trying to put away Hare. That one popped up. Shortstop goes back, and he makes the play. So good play there by Maxwell Bradley to get the 3rd out. As the West Coast Kings cannot score after a leadoff single by Graham Pim, we will head to the top of the 5th. The Mudcats trail the West Coast Kings 3-1.
Interested in a career in sports broadcasting?
Well, Solano College is the right college for you. Fall 2016, Solano is offering not one, but 2 sports broadcasting classes. Comm 75A is for the people who want to be in front of the camera, like me. You will focus on real-life, on-air, internet, and televised broadcast. Not only will you be in front of the camera, you will learn the fundamentals of play-by-play description, color commentary, do interviews with players and coaches, and even host your own sports talk show. For those of you who want to be more behind the scenes, Comm 80A is the class for you. You will learn the fundamentals of televised sports broadcasts, both in studio and on location. You will also learn the fundamentals of computer graphics, videography, instant replay, and pre- and post-production editing. Cool, right? Both classes are held from 1 to 3:55 in room 121 of the main campus building. 75A is held on Wednesdays and 80A is held on Mondays. See you there.
So Brendan Gordon here in his 5th inning of work been pretty, I wouldn't say dominant, but he's done very well with 3 innings. No need for a pitching change, but we have a broadcaster change as Garland Webster. We'd like to thank him for his first 4 innings of work here as my color commentator. Introduce catcher Kevin Huang. Sorry. I went through it over the break and I still messed it up. But thank you, Kevin, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's fun to be out here. It's going to be a little exciting for me. I've never done this before.
So 7, 8, 9 hitters due up here in the top of the 5th. What have you seen so far from both sides that you've been? What are your impressions of the game so far?
It's a pitcher duel going on right now, and what I've noticed is a lot of bloop singles, and not many kids squaring up the ball. A few to center that I saw, but other than that, it's kind of just a scrappy game.
Yeah. So for the Mudcats, they only have 2 hits, 1 walk against Gordon. He's retired 6 straight as he bunts. Onivera's trying to reach, and that one, did it pull him off the bag? They say it didn't. So a nice little toe drag from Dante Peretti. The Mudcat side not happy, but that will be out number 1.
Nice play from the mound right there.
And I think they kind of noticed something like you did as they're trying to maybe do small ball to try and get on as they're not making great contact off of Gordon, trying to do the little things to try and get on. As one of the coaches for the Mudcats will kind of talk to the umpires, trying to ask them to confer with one another while we kind of have a little time. How's your experience been with the Rockhounds this summer?
It's been pretty cool. It's a pretty lax environment, and all the guys are nice. I've really gotten along with everyone, and it's fun being out here just playing the game and having fun on the field.
And did you just graduate from high school out of this year?
Yeah.
How has that transition been, going from high school ball to this summer ball where you play against college players, and we saw against the Reno Astros some adult players who were former pros?
Yeah.
How has that adjustment been?
It's different. It's definitely different. Guys are bigger, guys are stronger, but I mean, in the end, it's the same game, and you just got to play it how you play it.
And you're a catcher. You have several other teammates who are catchers. Do you guys kind of talk to each other and kind of learn from each other, or do you kind of stick to your own kind of regiment and kind of focus on yourself?
We definitely talk to each other. I mean, it's something that you can always learn from someone. You never know everything on your own. So say it's like pitch calling. You call a game and you come into the inning and one of your other guys on the team's like, hey, you can do this, and it's something you can always learn from.
So they're actually going to overturn that decision and say that Ontiveros is safe. So he reaches base on that bunt single. And now they're going to call to the bullpen. And just as I said, there's no need for a pitching change. One batter gets on, and there's a pitching change. So after a pretty good outing here from Brendan Gordon, they're going to pull him after 4+ innings. He gave up 2 hits, 1 walk, didn't strike out a batter. So pretty good outing. And I think maybe being a tournament, maybe they're saving him for later games, as this is only the first game. Today's Wednesday. The tournament goes through Sunday. So pitching's definitely going to be important to try and salvage as many arms as possible. So based off of the bullpen, there was some sidewinder action, and broadcaster's dream, he has no number. So mysterious sidewinder pitcher is going to warm up as we're going to continue to talk to Kevin Wong, the catcher for the Rally Factory Rockhounds. So actually, before we kind of discuss, Kevin, are you a fan of MMA at all?
I am, yeah. It's fun to watch.
So we're actually going to broadcast in the middle of this tournament on Friday at the Solano County Fair. There's going to be an MMA tournament on July 29th, Best of the Best Fight Series MMA Madness. And it's going to be exciting 15-fight card with each bout being 3 rounds, 2 minutes each, except 2 title fights, which are 3 rounds, 3 minutes each. So it's going to be a very exciting time at the Solano County Fairground, Vallejo, California. Tickets are on sale. I believe they're $40 to $50. You're going to have to check on camo-mma.org for more specifics on it. And please join us out there. And if you can't, you can always tune into SCSN. We are going to be broadcasting those games and have those for you here on the Solano College Sports Network. So, Kevin Wong, the catcher for the Raleigh Factory Rockhounds, do you know exactly when you're going to play during this tournament? Do you have any idea so far?
We usually split the games. We don't really split we split each game as like a catcher. Each one gets their own personal game. And I think one of our catchers is actually leaving a little early, so I think we're down to me and Dawson Basho. So I should be playing probably two of the 4 games we play, maybe 5. I'm not sure how many games we can get out of it, but I think it's up to the coaches, and I'm sure we'll split time.
First pitch to Jack Bowles in there for a strike. Now, as a hitter, have you had to face any kind of sidearm pitchers in your time in high school?
Oh, yeah, you get them all the time. It's hard to pick up the ball.
As it's coming at the dirt level, as Jack Bowles swings and misses, strike 2. How about as a catcher? How's it catching a sidewinder? Have you ever had to catch somebody throw a sidearm?
Yeah, actually, Jay, he's on our team. He's one of our closers. He throws from not all the way as low as this guy out here, but he throws from down there. And it's just the one thing you got to kind of keep in your head is you got to stay under the ball and really squeeze it, because it's easy to let your hands you let the ball hit your hand and let your hand drop with the guys coming from underneath.
Yeah, if you kind of think of a clock, folks, I think Jay's would probably be around like between 9 and 10.
Yeah.
It's not exactly underneath, but this guy, whoever he is throwing from about 7 or 6. Like, he is coming right low as Bowles fouls that one off. Yeah, his windup is reminiscent of the former Major League pitcher Chad Bradford, who he used to actually scrape his knuckles off the dirt. He would pitch so low. And this guy is definitely coming from an interesting angle that you don't see too often.
Bradford, is that the guy from Moneyball?
Yeah, back with the A's. He was on the Red Sox team. I'm a Red Sox fan, so that's how I kind of knew him. Yeah, Bradford was definitely a good, solid bullpen arm for a lot of years. He and Byung-Young Kim for the Diamondbacks kind of popularized the sidewinder style from like the late 90s, kind of early 2000s. Then all the teams wanted sidewinders, and now it's kind of dying out in the major leagues again. You don't see it too often anymore. As Bowles has done a nice job battling here, as he has a 2-2 count with nobody out. Full count. Ontiveros is standing at first. He would have been the first out had they kept the call that they had made, but they overturned it after conferring with each umpire. As Bowles works a walk after falling behind. So good discipline at bat there from Jack Bowles. So that brings up Nolan Burr, the third baseman, former Solano Falcon, but he should be coming back for his sophomore year. So SCSN fans should know of Burr have they watched any of our other broadcasts during the spring semester. Now, how did you hear about the Rockhound baseball program?
So my coaches at USF, they said they would pull a team together for me for the summer, and they recommended the Rockhounds. And I think Stover played for USF back in the day, so I think that's where they got their connection with him.
And you have a teammate as well, Matt Campos.
Yep.
Is there anybody else from USF on this team?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you met him before this summer? Because he played in Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
And so how have you kind of bonded with your new prospective teammate?
Yeah, we met up the first day I actually got here. we actually drove into the city, played on the new field. We took BP on the new field for San Francisco, and I hung out with him a lot this summer while he was here. He's gone now, but while he was here, we got to talk and hang out a lot and kind of learn things about each other.
As Nolan Burr laid down a sacrifice bunt or advanced both runners. So 1 out, runners at second and third as the Mudcats are trying to tie this one up. Just down 2, you have both runners in scoring position to tie this one up for Joey Morris, who's flown out a couple times to the outfield, 0 for 2. As a sidewind pitch is in there for strike 1. Now here in this situation with 1 out, as a batter, what would your approach be here?
With the infield bag, I think you just spray a ball up the middle, try to get one on the ground, not try to do too much.
That one is on the ground. The first baseman, Peretti, does a great job of looking the runners back, but they have the runner at second in a pickle, so the runner at third is going to have to go. Onaveros is now caught in the pickle as the catcher, Hare, will tag him out. So base running mistake from the Mudcats. Their threat of 2 runners in scoring position is out the window, and the West Coast Kings will head to the bottom of the 5th, leading 3-1. Back in the bottom of the 4th. 4, 5, 6 due up. Kyle McKean, Jacob Schmins, and Dante Peretti due up for the West Coast Kings. Should anybody get on, John Najedli will be next batter, as Connor Marshall will be back on the mound after not giving up a run his last half inning after giving up 3 in his first 3 innings pitched. There's no activity in the Mudcat bullpen to start out this half inning. So you got to believe they're going to be a little strategic here. They're close in this game, and obviously you could burn some bullpen arms in this situation if you want to keep it close, but being down at this point, maybe you let Marshall go a little further than you would normally. If he can complete all 7 innings here, that would definitely save the arms for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, definitely looking for him to step up and really help the team out on his own, put the team on his back.
So that first pitch from Marshall is a ball. Next pitch is fouled off. It'll be 1-1 count. Kyle McKean is 1 for 2, struck out with men in scoring position in the first, and then he doubled with 1 out and scored in that 2-run third inning. Swung on and missed. Strike 2. And McKean didn't get a great look at that breaking ball, as that swing wasn't the prettiest. So Marshall ahead in the count here, 1-2. That one's taken on the outside corner for strike 3, looking. 6th strikeout here for Marshall. So that'll bring up Jacob Schmins, third baseman. 0 for 1. Ground out and hit by pitch. He scored in that third inning as well. First pitch is taken for a ball. Now for the Rockhounds, kind of had a managerial shift towards the end of the season with Coach Andrew Ayers getting a full-time position, so he became ineligible to be the manager. So Coach Robbie Rogers is now the manager. How's that transition been for you guys?
It's pretty. It wasn't that hard of a transition. Ayers is a great guy. I mean, I only got to meet them for a couple of weeks, but him and Robbie both are really good guys, and they're both kind of the same, and so it made the transition a lot easier.
As Nolan Berg keeps his glove down on that grounder. High throw, but nice pick over at first from Lane to get out number 2. Now, have you always played catcher growing up, or is that something you kind of got shifted to during high school days?
Actually, for travel ball, I started playing catcher because our team needed me to. And then going into high school, they actually told me they needed someone at shortstop, so I started playing shortstop. And then my sophomore year of high school, I got pulled up to varsity to play shortstop. And then we also had a guy 1 year ahead of me who was catching, but he also played shortstop. So they ended up...
A bunch of shortstop catcher combos.
And they ended up realizing that we were both meant for the other position. So he switched to shortstop, I switched to catcher, and from then on I've been playing catcher mostly.
As Peretti with the 2 out, single. John Jedley is now up. 1 for 2, singled and scored in the second and struck out his last at-bat against Marshall. That one's hit past Nolan Burr, fair. Peretti, round second, cannot advance though. Michael Driscoll did a great job of getting to that ball, now allowing Peretti to advance to third. And I can't believe after how well Najedli hit that ball that he's not standing at second.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what happens when you have somebody kind of clogging the base paths, not the fastest runner ahead of you. So he didn't want to make the cardinal sin of baseball, making the last out at third base. So he's a little tentative there. And you are up 2.
Yeah, with the lead, I think that's the smart play.
Mm-hmm. So that brings up Ray Soderman, who singled his last at-bat as the DH. Pops it up. Lane looks like he's underneath it. We'll put it out for out number 3. So 2 runners reach base in the inning, but the 2-out rally is stifled with Soderman popping out to the first baseman. We will head to the top of the 6th. West Coast Kings lead 3-1. New pitcher for the West Coast Kings, number 24, Kyle Franco. Gotta love numbers on the back of his jersey. I can finally tell who he is. So due up will be the 2, 3, 4 hitters for the Solano Mudcats, trying to rally, get back in this game. Only 2 half innings of offense left for the Mudcats, so they're going to have to get something quickly, as Bradley, the shortstop, Nick Perez, the right fielder, and Michael Driscoll, the left fielder, are all due up this half inning. So Franco finished his warm-up tosses and is now on the mound. We'll see what kind of delivery he has. It's got to be a slight adjustment. Not for these hitters because they didn't have to face the Sidewinder. So I think they're thanking the West Coast Kings for making that pitching change, as the first pitch is fouled off, strike 1.
Definitely a lot easier to see the ball coming from up there. Pick it up easier. Get your bat on it.
Maxwell Bradley.
0-1 pitch. That one is hammered to the shortstop. Stays down nicely, does Pim. Throws out Bradley for out number 1. He's grounded out 3 times to the shortstop, has Maxwell Bradley. Maybe as a fellow shortstop, he was like, I think you should get some ground ball practice, so I'm just going to hit it to you each time.
It's keeping him in the game.
Yeah. So that'll bring up the right fielder, Nick Perez. Will be facing a right-handed pitcher for the first time, as Gordon, the lefty, really gave Perez a lot of trouble. We'll see how he does facing a right-handed pitcher. Strike 1. Next one's fouled straight back. 0-2. How would you kind of describe the motion of Kyle Franco? Does it remind you of anybody?
Let me take another look at it.
It's a little kind of a rock back, kind of a little high leg kick. Not really rock back, as that one is chopped foul.
New pitcher for the Kings is number 24, Kyle Franco.
Not sure who. It reminds me of somebody. I just can't put my. I can't remember the name. Just that high leg kick reminds me of somebody. That's gonna bug me.
It's looking like Kimbrel kind of with the leg kick, the way it comes out. That's what I was noticing. The way he gets it, gets it up pretty high right there.
Yeah, it looked like he almost knocked his hat off with that leg kick as Perez strikes out swinging. So Perez's tough day continues 0 for 3. Brings up Michael Driscoll, who's 1 for 2. Scored the lone run for the Mudcats. As the switch hitter will now bat from the left side. Sounded that after talking to Garland Webster, left side is more comfortable side for Driscoll. Swing and a miss. Strike 1. Did you ever try and tinker and try to be a switch hitter?
I think everyone, and at some point in their life, has tried to swing from the other side of the plate. Some people it looks natural. Some people it looks the opposite of natural. I think I have a pretty decent lefty swing, but I mean, I'm always gonna say that about myself.
That decent lefty swing was a 2-out single for Driscoll. 2 for 3. Really been the most consistent member of the Mudcats offense here this afternoon, as Ian Acosta will now bat with a runner on, 2 out.
It's a nice big 2-out hit right there. Make sure the inning doesn't go by too quickly and give your other hitters a little more confidence going up to the plate.
So Ian Acosta, the catcher here, look to maybe hit something in the gap with 2 outs because Driscoll's going to be running no matter what. And Driscoll stole 2 bases the first time he was up, so he has a little bit of speed as that pitch is low for ball. Acosta, former Solano Falcon, we broadcasted his games for 2 years, really improved between his freshman year and his sophomore year, showed a lot more power. So for the Mudcats, you need something maybe in the gap to try and drive home Driscoll, as that pitch is in there for strike 1. Is it hard sometimes not to try and swing for the fences? Is that something that kind of enters your mind at the plate?
Yeah, it's always something that gets into a lot of people's heads, and you just want to make sure your swing's not getting too long, because when you swing hard and your swing gets long, it's actually going to do the opposite for you, and it's going to make it a lot slower. Your bat speed's going to go down, and you're going to find yourself popping balls up and getting jammed a lot. Good phrase that I was always taught was try easy. So the easier you try, the better the results are going to be.
Next pitch is taken high, 2-2. Yeah, that kind of reminds me of the phrase, try smarter, not harder.
Yeah. It's a good saying.
So Acosta here, behind in the count a little bit, 2-2. Franco has a pitch to try and put him away, try and get him something to chase, as Acosta just fouls out one off to stay alive. I think if Acosta could manage to be patient and draw another ball with the full count, Driscoll will get a head start that can even get that crucial run that is necessary here into motion. As Driscoll goes 2-2, swung on a miss, doesn't matter. Acosta strikes out swinging So a 2-out single from Driscoll is stranded at first base. So headed to the bottom of the 6th, the Mudcats still trail the West Coast Kings 3-1.
Who's ready for the Solano County Fair? Well, you're in for a surprise this year. The Solano County Fair is hosting the Best of the Best fighting series. It'll consist of 15 MMA fights. The last 2 will be championship bouts. The fights will begin at 7 o'clock, but the outdoor arena opens at 6. Bleacher seating is $40, while VIP floor seating is $55. Get your tickets now because these fights are ones you won't want to miss.
A.J. Curtis, the 9-hole hitter, then top of the lineup, due up for the West Coast Kings. First pitch from Marshall is taken low, ball 1. There is an arm warming up in the Mudcat bullpen. It looks like Trevor Steele, former Napa pitcher, going to Kansas Wesleyan College. Next pitch is in there, strike 1. And here with the 3-1 lead, what would your approach be as a hitter hitting here in the bottom of the 6th?
You're really just trying to get on and prolong the inning, and if you can, scrape across a couple insurance runs as he grounds out to the pitcher.
Yeah, nice play by Marshall to throw out A.J. Curtis, who is now 1 for 3 after that ground out. Top of the order, shortstop Graham Pym.
But yeah, with a two-run lead, you're really trying to put a couple more on the board because at 2 runs, it's a lead, but it's small if anything. And if you really push that to 3, 4, you're really kind of just taking the hope out of the other team.
As Pym kind of scoots back to get out of the way of that breaking ball for ball 1. One-0 pitch is popped high. Lane looks like he's going to call everybody off, and he is underneath it for out number 2. That will bring up Sawyer Olson, who is 1 for 3, a single, a flyout, and struck out looking his last at-bat.
How do you feel about the mids that the third baseman is rocking with the tight pants with the stirrup socks?
Oh, you got to have style out there. When you look better, you look good, you feel good, you play good, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the philosophy. As the first pitch is in the ball. That's what I love about broadcasting all these sports, too, is seeing some of the choices in apparel. Like we do Vacaville football sometimes in the fall. We also do Wilsey Wood football. But I remember this one receiver. He's also a baseball player. What is his name? Reed Ramirez. From out of Vacaville High School. He used to always rock neon green shoes, neon green socks. So everybody's wearing black and orange, and then you just see these socks all the way on the football field. Always loves the style.
Sometimes you gotta make yourself obvious to the crowd.
It makes it for the broadcaster. I always notice him. As Lane with a nice catch in foul territory, as Sawyer Olson was ahead in the count 2-0. Nice way to get out of that pitching dilemma, as a 1-2-3 inning for Connor Marshall will head to the top of the 7th. Last chance for the Mudcats to win this opening round matchup. Top of the 7th, 6, 7, 8 hitters trying to get aboard, start a rally, and try and pick up this opening round matchup in pool play. The 2 brackets for the Solano Invitational. Bracket A are your team, Kevin, Rally Factory Rockhounds. Sacramento Ends, and West Coast Kings. So Kings looking to pick up a play in bracket A. This is their one opportunity to play somebody from bracket B with the Solano Mudcats. The NBO Baseball and Auburn Wildcats round out bracket B. So Lane looking again at a 1-0 strike, evens the count 1-1. Next pitch is a ball, 2-1.
You know who throws like the pitcher? Cobb on the Rays.
Oh, Alex Cobb.
High knee with the leg kind of out with the pointed foot.
I'm worried about his hat. Like that's the biggest thing when he gets that high leg kick. As Lane tried to make a backhanded pick, did Graham Pym, and that ended up costing him. As Lane reaches base safely. That's always a tricky play for shortstop to make that backhand. A lot of players make it look really easy, but I know playing around in the backyard, you try to make a backhanded pick and you don't know what you're doing. It can make you look foolish.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But it's definitely something that if you're comfortable with it, it's something you should definitely go to. It's a lot quicker and you get the ball out a lot easier.
So a couple different substitutions here. Angel Lara, a pitcher, will actually pinch run for Jaden Lane. And pinch hitting for Elijah Ontiveros is number 36, Josh Meekum, former Solano Falcon outfielder. So Meekum a lot more of a power hitter than Ontiveros. So with a runner on, maybe trying to advance him.
One thing I've noticed about the Kings pitchers is that pretty much from all three of them is that they're all mixing in a lot of breaking balls, and that's something that even if they're not getting out specifically on those pitches, it's making the fastball a lot harder to pick up.
Next pitch is low for a ball. And Kings will be their first opponent for the Rockhounds on Friday, 11 o'clock game. So come to the yard here at Billy and Louise Yarborough Stadium. Check out the Riley Factory Rockhounds as that next pitch is in there. Strike 2, 1-2. Then you follow that up by playing NBO baseball that same day. How do you anticipate that turnaround being? Obviously, being a catcher, you kind of maybe think that maybe you would catch one game, Baco might catch the other, as Meekum fouls that one off.
Yeah, we should probably end up splitting them and splitting a doubleheader. That's actually pretty nice. It definitely takes the wear and tear off the knees and the legs, especially with a tournament like this. So hopefully that's what we'll end up doing. But it's up to the coaches, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I always feel the worst for extra innings and doubleheaders for the catchers. Having to be in that squat for so long.
Mm-hmm.
My knees ache. I've never even been in the squat. I'm just sitting in the chair here.
Yeah, those extra inning games really start to wear and tear on the knees. But you don't really notice it until after the game. Like during the game, you're all pumped up from adrenaline and everything. So it makes it a little easier.
So Franco trying to close out this game here, 2-2. Gets him looking on the inside corner with the breaking ball, and Meekum has to sit down for the first out of the inning. Well, front door breaking ball, that's always got to feel so bad where you kind of give up on the ball coming towards you. If anything, it looks like it's coming right at you, and then it comes across the plate, and you just have to take it.
Just lock your knees and put your head down and walk back to the dugout.
As Jack Bowles, second baseman, check swing, went around on that one, 0-1. Bowles, 1 for 1, a single and a walk, his 2 at-bats. So officially 1 for 1. And outside of Driscoll, Bowles has been probably the best hitter for the Mudcats as he battled nicely with that sidewinded pitcher as that ball's fouled back right in my direction. Thank God for concrete. That might have been the closest that a ball's ever come to hitting me while broadcasting a game. And our basketball games, we were pretty high up in the bleachers, so we don't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
But one time when we were producing, a basketball came bouncing in, and it broke our laptop that you can see like right there behind us. And, oh, man, we were so mad. Because it was a touch screen, and the ball broke the screen. It completely shattered it like you'd see like unusable. A phone. Yeah, unusable.
That's rough.
Bowles fouls one off, stays alive. That's what we saw earlier in his at-bat with that sidewind pitcher. He got ahead in the count. I believe it was 0-2 or 1-2, and he just kind of fouled some stuff off, then took some pitches and worked a walk out of that one So we'll see what Bowles does here as he's behind in the count 1-2 to Franco. Lara, the pinch runner, still at first. That one's taken low for ball 2. So Billy and Louise Yarborough starting a little quiet here as everybody's kind of tensed up with this last half inning for the Mudcats. That one's chopped to third. They look to second, going to get the sure out at first base. So fielder's choice will advance Angel Lara. I think that was a wise play by the third baseman, Shemens.
Up 2, that runner at second doesn't really matter. You got to get the out for your pitcher.
Yeah, we actually broadcasted the 1900 championship game, and kind of a base running mistake by one of the players ended up costing him. He was the last out of the ball game, where he was standing at second base. It was a 2-run ball game. It was a kind of a hit back right up the middle to the center fielder, and the third baseman coach wanted to hold him up because it was 2 outs, and your run doesn't count. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't matter that much that you want to be risk thrown out. But he ran through the stop sign and kind of slipped. He caught it late, and he got thrown out. As Nolan Burr gets hit by a pitch, kind of leaned into that one.
That's my man with the dirty mids and the stirrups.
Yeah. Out of Santa Cruz, down in SoCal. Enjoyed a nice freshman campaign. Kind of platooned a little bit with the Solano Falcons here. Should get a bigger role now that a lot of the sophomores are moving on to their prospective 4-year schools. So excited to see what Nolan Burr has to offer. For the longest time, he had 1 home run, 1 RBI. I'm not sure how his final numbers came out, but I just remember prepping for the games. It's always Nolan Burr, 1 home run, 1 RBI. It was always singles or that 1 home run. So on base here, he is the game-tying run. The game-winning run is in the box with Joey Morris, who has flown out a couple times, and he was involved in an interesting play in the 5th where he lined out to, or excuse me, he grounded out to the first baseman. First baseman stepped on the bag, and then they got one of the runners standing at second and third caught in a pickle, which ended the inning. That was really their best opportunity to try and tie this game until this moment, as Morris looks at a 1-0 strike, evens the count 1-1. And here, it's got to be a tough spot for a leadoff hitter to be a run producer. So hope that Morris kind of stays in his lane, if you will, and kind of make sure he just makes solid contact here.
Not trying to do too much, and really just getting it to the next guy. You don't always have to be the hero, and although it's easy saying that from out here, when you're in the box, it's different, and you get the adrenaline, and you kind of just want to put one in the gap and get your guy home from first.
Yeah, that's the thing about sports. Like, competitive juices kind of take over sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I think people forget that, and they realize people aren't robots, and it's easy from an outside perspective to, like, watch film, watch a game, and say, oh, you should do this, you should do that. But once you're in between the lines, it's just things take over sometimes, and I think that's acceptable. As he works a walk here to load the bases. So a rally here for the Solano Mudcats. Bases loaded. 2 outs. Maxwell Bradley is going to be pinch hit for. Jared Vitug, the left-handed batter, is going to be pinch hitting at a UC San Diego.
Mudcats, number 13, Jared Vitug.
So Bradley, who grounded out 3 times to the shortstop, is pinch hit for, and I think that might have been a good decision here after not putting a lot of good swings on. Grounded out to Franco his last time up. Maybe give a lefty a better shot here to try and drive home Lara standing at third, and if he could get a good enough swing, Nolan Burr has plenty of speed to score from second. 2 outs, bases loaded, 1-1 count. Franco, 1-1. Vitug looks on the outside corner, 1-2. Here, a lot of pressure on Vitug to come in cold off the bench to try and deliver here. Bases loaded. Last out of the ball game for the Mudcats. Franco with a pitch. Breaking ball looked at high. I think he's lucky there to that kind of slipped out of his hands. Had that been a little backdoor breaking ball, that's the toughest one to take with bases loaded, 2 outs.
Yeah. Right on that back foot for lefties. It gets them every time.
Instead of that little head shake, no, it would be stormed off the field as he looks at that pitch low. So now
runners are going to be going.
Situation where every kid dreams of, 3-2, 2 outs, bases loaded, last half inning of baseball here in the opening game of the 2016 Solano Tournament Invitational. Full count and the pitch. Taken strike 3 to end the game. Vita can't believe it. And Franco paints the corner to end the ball game. West Coast Kings win this first round matchup 3-1. So Kevin, what are your final thoughts on this ball game?
Really good game, pitchers duel. A couple base running mistakes costed them the comeback, but I mean, well-deserved win for the Kings. I thought their pitching was excellent.
Yeah, pitching came through in that tense situation with the bases loaded, 2 outs. And it really was a well-pitched ball game by the West Coast Kings by the final score of 3-1. So for Brian Nelson and my earlier commentator, Garland Webster, Kevin Wong, thank you for joining me yet again.
Having me.
For all of us at SCSN, thank you for watching. The West Coast Kings win this ball game 3-1. Now let's send it over to an interview with our Best Buy player of the game.
Hey guys, Melanie Fuller here with your Best Buy player of the game, Brendan Gordon. Brendan, you gave up 1 run today. What pitches were working for you on the mound?
I think that just being able to establish fastball early on the counts and then be able to use changeup and the slider, put guys away. So I was able to do a good job of that and get guys out.
And you guys got the first win of the tournament. How are you going to keep the momentum going?
Just got to keep playing Kings baseball, put the ball in play, throwing strikes for pitchers, just, play hard and play aggressive.
And who's the team to beat this tournament?
Honestly, there's a lot of good teams. I know that, so we got some good competition ahead of us. So we just got to go out there and try and play our best, because the teams are just going to get better and better from here. So we got to go out tomorrow and just play Kings baseball.
Well, thank you, Brendan. The West Coast Kings defeated the Mudcats 3-1. I'm Melanie Fuller, and behalf on Brendan Gordon, thanks for supporting the Solano College Sports Network. We'll see you next time. Sorry, I totally